Life is a reflection of our commitments, and if the current approach is working well for you, go for it. And if it's breaking down, then you might want to consider a mindset shift. You know, I didn't search out personal development until I broke down. My current world broke down. I don't think I'm unique in that area, right? So we always doing what we can, and then we just keep getting feedback that there's got to be a better way, and then that opens up the consciousness for a new approach. And of course, that then takes the discipline and wherewithal and commitment to follow through. But it starts with an awareness of like, yeah, I'm open to a change. I'm open for something deeper and better.
Okay, as a conscious business scaling expert, I think there's a thought that, you can run a conscious business as long as it's of a certain size. But when you get to a certain point, it loses its values if the business gets too big. Really, you can't hold on to that kind of core DNA. Do you think that's true or not?
I do think it's true.
So there's a size. What is the size limit?
Well, I think it's a life cycle stage limit. So what happens, let's take respectfully, let's take religion as an example, right? These are these core spiritual truths that cut across religious bodies and structures. But we all know religious bodies and structures that have been around for so long and gotten so big that the essence is lost, right? It's all dogma. It's all, so it happens in businesses too, right? The founding DNA, the founder gets, sells off or passes on, and we just lost our way, So as things grow, they reach a certain stage and they begin to decay or decline and ossify. And so I think that's why you'll see the conscious heart of who we used to be may have gotten lost. And doesn't mean that heart can't be regenerated, right? Or reignited. It has to start with a conscious leader and people who are really galvanized and committed to leading from the inside out.
What is that resuscitation at a certain life cycle stage of a business? What's required for the heart to come back on?
Well, it's interesting because let's imagine we're in a founder-led company still, and they've grown the business and they kind of hit some ceiling of complexity, and it's been maybe several years, they haven't been able to really break through. What you'll see in that environment is that the founder will be really frustrated by their creation. They'll feel kind of trapped. Gosh, I'd love to sell this thing and go to Tahiti, but no one will buy it in this current structure and current cap table. Or, gosh, I failed as a leader, whatever the story might be, that will permeate through the rest of the culture. So by realigning on the strategy with the right structure and kind of re-energizing people into key roles, including the founder into like a CEO role where they can really focus and thrive, you'll see that origin story that got lost during that dark period comes back on. It actually has to come back on. Now, let's say it's a later stage company that's been around for a while and the founder's no longer involved. To me, the key there is the head of the organization. Like if they're bringing a conscious light to the helm, that's going to have a max impact on the rest of the org. And if they're not that person, I don't think you can reignite a cultural shift. That might upset some people. In my work, everyone should know, I think leaders matter, and that any kind of approach, any kind of structure, any kind of anything without a conscious leader at the top, it's not going to be a conscious reflection. It's not going to be that thing that we can't articulate, but we can feel, that essence is going to be absent. And you get a leader who's like really, a business is a reflection of their consciousness in a lot of ways. But
You talk in Design to Scale about this image of a leader moving from being a hero to that of a sage. Will you describe what you think a sage leader is like?
Yeah, I think it's that they have very high awareness of self and others. They're no longer justifying their existence by how hard they work or how big of decisions rolled to them. Instead, they're really authentically driven like a servant leader, where they're trying to just catalyze very subtly the team, the people, all the roles where they can kind of, each person can fulfill themselves. And just notice that it's different. Like when you're in hero mode, it's like climb on my back, I got this. And you get like into sage mode, it's way more subtle, it's way more intuitive, it's way more inner driven, you're way more letting go. Any situation that pops up, it's first a self-reflection. What am I doing here? How am I contributing?